Let me share my study notes with you. I think there are a lot of us who have read or studied the Word of Wisdom in section 89 of the Doctrine and Covenants who have missed these key warnings. I have gone over this section many times. We have discussed it in church many times, yet I have never seen or understood these warnings and cautions before. All we usually focus on is don't drink alcohol, don't drink tea or coffee, don't smoke and don't do drugs, and get some veggies in there when you can. Or at least that's all I've ever focused on. I'm going to share with you 3 warnings or cautions that are commonly either brushed off or genuinely not picked up on. Verses 12 to 13 talk about eating meat with thanksgiving, but did you pick up on the caution where the Lord says, "Nevertheless, they are to be used sparingly, and it is pleasing unto me that they should not be used only in times of winter or of cold or famine." Meat is only to be used in times of winter or cold or famine, which means meat was not intended to be a part of our everyday meals, and certainly not the main part of our meals, unless you are in winter or it's cold or there's famine, which refers to food shortages or lack of access to nutritional foods, which can include reasons such as poverty. The second one is verse 14 to 15, where it says, "All grain is good for mankind and animals," yet here is the caution. Verse 15, "And these hath God made," so the grains, "for the use of man only in times of famine and excess of hunger." The grains, the wheat, the barley, the corn, the rye, only to be used. It's when you don't have access to more nutritional foods. So then things like bread, pasta, rice, pizza, cake, and all your foods made with grains should not form the main bulk of your diet. We have been conditioned in society to believe we need a lot of meat and grains in order to satisfy our nutritional needs. Before I get to the final warning, which is the most striking in my opinion, let me share with you what the Lord is saying is good for us in abundance. All fruits and vegetables, potatoes, beans, lentils, and all wholesome herbs. So basically, everything that naturally grows in or on the earth, everything that God made, that is what is good for us. He has provided us with everything we need. Things like eggs, honey, and raw milk, I would also consider to be those natural foods that He has given us. One thing I'm not sure on is fish, because in the verse where it says, in verse 12, "Eat meat only in times of winter or famine," it specifically says the flesh of beasts, which I would assume are land animals, and fowls of the air. He's quite specific. The flesh of beasts and fowls of the air, so birds. If, in my opinion, fish was also on the restricted list, I would assume he would say, "and the creatures in the sea," but he doesn't. So I wonder if our main meat source should therefore be fish. But that's not doctrine, that's me thinking aloud. I encourage you to study and pray over that for yourselves. So there are still hundreds of food varieties found naturally upon the earth that we can eat to be nutritionally and physically satisfied. Let us look briefly at what we know now about why the Lord gave us a lot of restrictions on our food and drink, bearing in mind none of this was scientifically known at the time the revelation was given. Starting from the top, I know some of these are obvious. Alcohol can lead to alcoholism, alcohol poisoning, liver damage, and so on. Tobacco, respiratory disorders, and cancers among the top ones. Tea and coffee, caffeine addiction, high blood pressure, mood disorders, sleep disorders, digestive issues, and more. It specifically says we need to eat all wholesome herbs, so that implies there are some not so wholesome herbs, which we can guess what those are. Why would the Lord tell us not to have those? The obvious: addiction, mental health disorders, memory loss, lack of appetite, and so on. So now getting on to the ones that we don't really think about too much. Eating too much meat in hot weather. Well, bearing in mind that it takes between 24 to 72 hours for it to exit the body, what would happen to a plate of meat if you left it in the sun for that length of time? Our bodies are quite warm on the inside, even on cold days. So stomach complaints, blood sugar and blood pressure fluctuations, dehydration and fatigue are among the common effects. Eating too many grains can lead to weight gain, blood sugar spikes, excessive cravings, insulin resistance, diabetes, heart disease, digestive issues, systemic inflammation, and much more. I wasn't aware of a lot of that. But now let's get to the biggest warning in this section, found in verse 4. Behold, verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, in consequence of evils and designs which do and will exist in the hearts of conspiring men in the last days, I have warned you and forewarn you by giving unto you this word of wisdom. The main reason, aside from the obvious of it keeps us healthy, in consequence of the evils and designs in the hearts of conspiring men, we need to be following this word of wisdom. In other words, there are people in the world today who are plotting bad things, and if we don't live the word of wisdom to the best of our ability, the Lord is warning us. That's a strong word. I warn you that we will be choosing to be in the hands of conspiring men. We don't know the extent of these plots that are out there, but I can probably point out one or two. We have people making foods whose only real concern is how much money they make from it. How many harmful foods are in our shops today? Harmful foods are those that are full of sugar, salt, saturated and trans fats, and the abundance of artificial chemicals that have little to no nutritional value and which we happily accept and just call junk food. We willingly and knowingly pollute our bodies with those things. We are addicted to the foods that are causing great harm to our physical and even mental well-being. I'd say that's one of the evil designs that the Lord was warning us about. I think it's time we follow the word of wisdom more closely. Foods that are man-made, as in they do not contain the natural ingredients that God provided for us, are not good for mankind. They are not good for our bodies. The majority of health conditions today, now this is interesting, are either caused by or can be prevented by or treated by our diet alone. The Lord's promise is this to all those who heed this warning. Verses 18 to 21. It's an amazing list of blessings. And all saints who remember to keep and do these sayings, walking in obedience to the commandments, shall receive health in their navel and marrow to their bones, shall find wisdom and great treasures of knowledge, even hidden treasures. They shall run and not be weary, and shall walk and not faint. And I, the Lord, give unto them a promise that the destroying angel shall pass by them as the children of Israel and not slay them. They are incredible promises. Are we going to live worthy of those promised blessings? We can all try harder to do and be better, but don't be overwhelmed if you've just realised you need to change a lot of your meals and snacks, because I've realised that too. I recommend you prayerfully consider just one meal and one snack per week. Start small, simple swaps done prayerfully will see you succeed. Remember, the Lord does not command without providing the way for it to be accomplished. He has commanded us. He has warned us. We need to be following what's in this word of wisdom. It's not just about don't drink alcohol, don't smoke, don't drink tea or coffee. There is so much more with regards to what we eat. What are we polluting our bodies with? He has commanded us to do better. Don't be overwhelmed, because we know He has provided a way for us. So the answer is to prayerfully find out the path for us. And each of us will have individual paths, because all our dietary requirements are different and our financial situations are different, and the economy is different for all of us. Some of us may be in winter times or in times of famine, and so it's perfectly okay to have some of this as your main bulk of your diet for those times. Prayerfully consider where you need to change. Turn to Him, ask Him, listen to Him, follow Him, and then watch as you are blessed by Him.